Welcome to the Nut House.
Hello guys, welcome back. It's Illogical as always. And today I'm joined by the Spud.
Hello, hello, hello.
So, Spud, what maybe what are we talking about today basically? Because we haven't spoken in a hot second, and I think a lot has happened in the last little while.
It has. Well, for me personally, what I sort of wanted to talk to you about today was, well, mainly just to have a nice wee bit of a chinwag and see about upcoming games we intend to play and hopefully enjoy. And maybe some of the games that's out today, as well as particularly my recent endeavor into the new Souls-like from South Korea, the first Berserker Kazan.
Enlighten
And
me, because as far as I'm aware, you've had it pretty rough within that game at the moment.
I am indeed. Now, I will forewarn that people will find my opinions of the game divisive, potentially. And so, yes, so starting off, I'll start at the beginning, as with all things. When I first heard about First Berserker Kazan, I will admit I was slightly intrigued by the prospect that it held. Which, if I look up the First Berserker Kazan website,
Now, before we can,
I may get the blurb.
yes, funnily enough, before we continue, I haven't even played it yet. So
Yes, so I will be avoiding, for a forewarning, I will be avoiding, as best I can, I will be avoiding major spoilers for the game if none of you have played the game. And I think you'll agree with me, Logical, that when you have played and beaten the game, we would probably do another episode of the podcast dedicated to talking about Kazan in depth, everything from the story to the characters to the level design to the
basically all of it. We're just gonna
the
talk because
mechanics, pretty much all of it, yeah.
yeah,
Um, but so yes, so here's the blurb from the base, just to give you everyone, including the people who may not know, a basics of what Kazan, the first Berserker Kazan, is all about, and what initially hooked me in
initially.
initially into wanting to play the game. So the story, universe. In the 89th year of the Pelos Empire, the great General Kazan was framed for treason and banished to the snowy mountains. After narrowly escaping death, he sets forth on his long journey of revenge. Kazan, he was once celebrated as the hero who saved the Empire from the fearsome Berserk Dragon. However, the jealousy of those around him brought about his demise. Falsely branded a traitor and mercilessly tortured, he was exiled to the snowy mountains with severed tendons in both arms. So, that's all about how much I'll read, because I don't want to go into anything else. But that initial sort of short, punchy blurb really sort of got me intrigued. I was thinking to myself, wow. So we are this great decorated general who falsely accused of treason and exiled from our home. And so we must set out to claim our vengeance. Now, that may sound concerning to some, as when it comes to a revenge-driven plot, the character, depending at the time in which the story, the revenge takes place, the execution and the characters' focus on their revenge and their reasoning for their revenge needs to be concrete, and it needs to be well executed, much like anything else with any other piece of writing.
Yes.
If we cast our minds back to the goated series that is the God of War trilogy.
Right. Okay. Now you're intriguing me.
Side games included Chains of Sparta and Chains of Olympus and Ghost of Sparta included. We see not just Kratos' revenge story, but we see his path to seeking revenge.
Yes.
And his path to seeking revenge was due to the mistreatment of the Greek gods. That is what set him down the path of vengeance. Because he had eventually reached the point where he said, I've had enough. I've reached my limit. I've reached my breaking point. Enough is enough. These gods are going down. They're going down or I'm dying trying, basically.
Right.
And now the contrast with Kazan is that whenever you begin the game, as the thing states, and this is the only hint I'll give to the story of in game. When you begin the game, because you'll find this out right away whenever you boot it up, the revenge has already taken place, right? So it starts at the beginning of the game, which to me poses a much greater challenge.
Okay.
Because with Kratos, we got to see the trials and efforts that he went through. Do you see?
Yes.
All to be met with brick wall after brick wall after brick wall, denial after denial after denial, dismissal, refusal. And it just kept building and building and building. So whenever you start off a story with the premise of this character is seeking revenge, to me that poses a greater challenge because then you don't have that previously established build-up.
Correct.
Through the story. So initially that gave me some concern. And
I can understand that.
And as the story went on, I thought to myself, wait a minute, I'm seeing subtle hints and changes in his character. And I'm thinking to myself, wait, maybe they'll not do what I'm suspecting with this guy. And they'll not make him the generic, edgelord type of protagonist that says, I want my revenge, and only my revenge. I desire vengeance.
Yes.
And all that.
Aye, so
we all know those obnoxious type of revenge-driven characters. We all know that what kind of character I'm on about.
Yes, unfortunately, a little bit too well sometimes.
Yes, and see, this is where I want to tread lightly because at no point do I want to give anything away about the story, anything away about the bosses. This is just a general what I'm trying to keep as a general overview.
Right.
Then the story reached a certain point.
Okay.
And then it started off as one small thing, and then it avalanched, it snowballed into something that immensely deteriorated my enjoyment in the game.
Seriously?
And it wasn't just to do, yes, and it wasn't just to do with the story. It was to do with the overall, not only the story, but the story combined with, not to sound overly dramatic, combined with the devs' game design philosophy, shall we say. And this is where I think you'll get illogical, will get the point of what I'm with this next sentence. And this was something that prop red flags with me, but I decided to give the game a chance nevertheless. As I played on and on and on, this game follows the exact same, and I mean the exact same, game design philosophy, shall we call it, as Neo.
Right.
Now, I don't know if we've talked about this on the podcast, but I believe I've made my feelings for Neo fairly clear with you in the past.
Yes,
I think I've made my feelings on the game. Now, for those of you who do not know, I did not previously enjoy Neo. I liked some aspects of Neo, but I didn't enjoy it. And before the trolls come in saying, "Oh, you just need to get good," I will say this. I will say this. It wasn't the difficulty, and it's the same thing with First Berserker Kazan. I played this game and I beat it. I committed myself. I said I paid full retail price for this game, and I beat it. And same with the base game for Neo 1. I beat the base game of Neo 1, right?
Yes.
And it's not the difficulty of the bosses that concerns me about Neo, the first Neo. Well, see, here's the thing. In comparison, I actually kind of liked the first Neo compared to the second Neo. It was the second Neo game that I really couldn't stand.
What was it about the Neo game, the second Neo one that you couldn't
The
couldn't
second
stand?
Neo one, okay, so this is what I couldn't stand about. To me, the maps and level design was just so ugly and unappealing to me. I couldn't stand it. I just couldn't stand it. The yokai abilities didn't really give me as much enjoyment as I thought they would.
How do you remember? Curiosity, do you remember the last boss that you fought in Neo?
I think, if I remember correctly, now I may have joined someone. Now, don't quote me on this. It may have been I may have joined someone, but I think it was like the cat lady on the wagon wheels.
Yeah,
I think it was her. And
I,
believe you me, she was the only thing that had my attention in that game, and for good reason. And you know the reasons I'm on about. There's
oh, of
two very big
course,
reasons. There's two very big reasons
yes,
why
I
she had
agree.
my attention.
I agree to that,
um,
right? But well, like this is where I have to sort of come in, right? Because
go
I
for it. Go
I
for it.
kind of have to say this. I think
Mm-hmm.
you might need to go back
Do you think so?
because I have a feeling you might have an hour realization on this one.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
remember how you perceived Lords of the Fallen in the beginning?
I do remember. I do remember.
I
do.
think it might be happening again.
You think it happened previously when I was playing Neo 2?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll take that under consideration, but here was another aspect about it. For me, now this is more of a nitpick than anything else. I'm sorry, but the Switch glaive does not belong in that game. I'm sorry, but it doesn't. It
Oh,
doesn't.
the Switch
It
scythe?
doesn't. Yes, it doesn't belong there. I can deal with dual axes, katanas, spears, great axes, and maybe great axes weren't strictly accurate for that time, but Odachis, katanas, kusarigamas, and I can imagine dual axes were accurate for that time.
Mm-hmm.
Switch glaives aren't. And I know it sounds picky because you're pulling all these drastic moves and all that, but for me, the Switch glaive is just immersion breaking to me.
See,
It's just so immersion breaking, and I just don't like it.
okay, see, I can understand what you're getting at from that there, but the way that I look at it is right now. Don't you're gonna hate me for what I'm about to say, but it is.
Okay.
I may as well play devil's advocate, right?
Go for it. Go for it. I'm
Right.
all for a game
So
of devil's advocate.
right. So let's just be clear here, right?
Those aren't all my points, by the way.
Oh, I know,
those are
but
some.
but this is a big point. It says the key point that you brought up was which was the switch scythe or whatever it's called.
Yeah, well, that was one of the points. The Switch glaive. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Now. You're gonna hate me for what I'm about to say, but it is fair.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Okay. Okay.
You're saying that it is immersion breaking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yet there is demons, demi-demon, human-demon hybrids, spirits, and monsters running about.
Yes, but however, hear me out.
Right?
This is based on the thing, right? This is based in Japan, in feudal Japan,
Correct.
right? And it takes certain aspects of Japanese mythology. Now, I'm going to counter this argument before you make it. You could make the same argument for God of War. Okay, fair enough. Look at the weapons of God of War. How are they not immersion breaking? And my argument for that is because they are not normal weapons. They are not weapons made by man. They are weapons of the gods. So
Correct.
there's a difference.
Yeah.
Now, I could make that very same exception. Let's say if the Switch glaive was a weapon of one of the gods of Neo,
Mm-hmm.
then I could stomach my pride or I could swallow my pride and I could say, okay, fair enough, that's fair, right? And not another word about it. But I think it is too technologically advanced for the period in which the game is set. I think it's too technologically advanced.
See,
that's my personal take on it.
I'll not disagree with your argument on that one.
And I know there's a lot of overly bombastic anime styled stuff that happens in Neo, but the Switch glaive to me, I think it just takes it too far. I mean, let's look at it this way. Now, you and I at this point are both avid, and I mean avid, fans of Solo Leveling at this point.
Mm-hmm.
We are both avid fans of that anime.
Have you finished
But
season
you
2
will be
yet?
honest. Oh, you bet I have. You bet
Thank
I have.
fuck.
Lad, I finished season 2 ages ago.
No, that's okay, because I know a few people that still haven't finished season 2, and I'm just like,
Oh no, lad. I watched both the sub and the dub of those episodes. Don't you
oh yeah,
worry.
so did I.
Don't
Don't
you worry.
worry.
Don't you worry.
I'm
I
sorry.
watched both.
The Ant
Because
King fight
there was no
was.
way. Oh no, the Ant King fight. Okay, well we both know my rankings on the Ant King fight, but we're digressing a wee bit.
Yeah. Back to
Okay, but
Neo.
my point was in every fight scene in that anime, even though it's like it's Jinu Sung traveling to like basically different worlds through the gates.
Correct.
You'll notice that every weapon in each setting, it
Excuse me.
all feels believable. Every weapon feels believable in each setting. You've got Aegis with his great sword. You've got, Baran with his great sword and it's like his daggers and stuff like that. You've got, every weapon that gets used feels believable to me in Solo Leveling. No matter the setting, no matter what gates Janu Song goes into, it all feels believable. And to me, the Switchglaive does not feel believable in Neo 2. That's my only gripe with it. It's cool. I'm not going to deny that. It is cool. But it just doesn't feel believable to me as a weapon.
Okay, fair enough.
So that's my take on it. Now, going on to there's two more points I wanted to address with Neo 2 before we got back to Kazan.
Okay.
Before I sort of tie the bow on Kazan a wee bit. Another instance about it was, at least from my reckoning, we are the player character. And in games like this, the player character is the main protagonist in the story. But to me, in Neo 2, it doesn't feel like that. It feels like we are a side character in our own story. And instead, we're following the story of, like the little monkey guy in it. Who basically, like, Neo's been out at this point. I doubt people care about spoilers anymore.
Yeah.
He goes on to become Totomi Hideyoshi.
Aye.
And to me, it feels more like the story of Totomi Hideyoshi, not our character. Because now, initially, the game does open up with a very interesting thing. We are quite clearly a half-human, half-yokai hybrid.
Correct.
And our mother has been recently assailed by a mysterious man with a staff. And he's got the big red, Uchiha eyes, and all that kind of stuff, the big threatening aura about him. And so then you think, oh, we're going to grow up and become strong. And we're going to track that man down and we're going to give him what's coming to him. Except we don't. We're in some rinky-dink shack in a backwater village. And some guy just randomly stumbles upon us. And then we go and kill yokai. We meet your guy who becomes Hideyoshi. And we embark on a grand adventure of fame and fortune, which completely withdrew me. And this leads into my second point. Neo's over-reliance on the Edo period and feudal Japan. Now, don't get me wrong. Any sort of fantastical portrayal of the Edo period, whether it's Totomi Hideyoshi, Tokugawa Ieyasu, or Oda Nobunaga, they all feel badass, basically. Especially when whenever Oda Nobunaga comes on the scene, you're in for a good time.
Oh yes.
You look back at all the different games like Samurai Warriors or stuff like that, and the minute Oda Nobunaga comes on the screen, you're in for a good time.
Oh yes.
Right? Just watching him go on about just being himself, basically.
Pretty much.
But my point is, we already had that in Neo 1. We had seen Oda Nobunaga. We didn't see Totomi Hideyoshi, but we saw Oda Nobunaga. We saw Tokugawa Ieyasu. We saw Tadakatsu Honda.
Yes.
We saw all of those famed samurai of Japanese legend.
Yes.
And Japanese history. We saw all of that. And what feels better for me in Neo 1 is that we are William. We are completely foreign to Japan. We're a stranger from a strange land, as Hanzo Hattori most adequately put.
Yes.
And we are embarking on a quest to find Edward Kelly and reclaim the guardian spirit that he has stolen from us.
Yes.
But in that process, we find ourselves becoming a hero. We are still pursuing Edward Kelly, but we're also stopping his rampant, warmongering campaign across Japan.
Yes.
And we all know why he's causing war across Japan is to produce Amrita, which he can then send back to England to John Dee.
Yes.
That's why he's doing it.
Yeah.
And with no small shortage of enjoyment.
Oh yes. Yeah.
He is having the time of his life.
Yeah.
Spreading war across Japan. He's having the time of his life. And so to me, what I liked about Neo 1 story is that it felt more narrative and character driven, where William has a goal. He's going out on his own. He's going on a quest. He's on a quest. He's on a mission.
Yes.
And he's found himself wrapped up in the feudal wars of Japan in the process. But he still has that mission in mind. And then it all has even with the repeated level designs and all that carry on, and the repetitive loot system, which I cannot stand, it all has a brilliant finish, that I can admit, where we take the fight to John Dee himself. Yes. And I love that boss fight. See the 100 Eyes?
Yeah.
I love the 100 Eyes boss fight.
I enjoyed that boss fight as well. So this is where you're gonna hate me now, because as far as I'm aware, you never actually managed to finish Neo 2, did you?
No, I didn't.
Because it all makes sense at the end.
Yeah, well, again, that's another point, is that it felt like we were just a side character in our own story. That's what,
I understand your view of that there, but it's only until best way I could describe it, it's like Dark Souls.
Okay.
You don't have all the pieces until you read all the item descriptions. Same idea applies. It's you don't have all the information until you actually get to the end of it and see what did all of this actually culminate in. What was the point?
What was it all for? What was it all for? Basically.
And then then you figure it out. Like, it's because there's a specific part at the end that completely it's a twist that you don't see coming.
Right.
So it is. That's a major point that I have to bring up on that one.
Okay, well that's fair enough. Well, who knows? Maybe after this conversation, maybe I will pick it up again. Who knows? But for the time being,
it can sit in the back burner.
It can sit on the back burner. We have a lot more stuff coming out this year that we're going to be feeding on.
Yeah, because again, like, my point still applies. I always like, it's different if you like this. Like, you can shout at me if you want, right? But this is just purely my view of it, right?
Okay.
You are going to hate me for what I'm about to say.
I don't think so, but okay, go ahead.
You're taking whenever you criticize a game and you haven't beat the game yet, you're starting to sound like a game journalist, if that makes sense.
That's fair enough. Because I will. You want to know what? I'll take that on the chin. I'll take that on the chin. That's a completely fair point. How can I possibly criticize the game without beating it? Fair enough. And that's why I really wish I could go into more details on Kazan, because I have beaten the game.
Yes,
that's why I wish I could.
It's also like I says.
You want to know what really detracted from my enjoyment, though?
What
the main thing was? It was all the repetitive levels. It was the repetitive levels, constantly side mission after side mission after side mission, repeat after repeat after repeat. And you know yourself, they do reuse a lot of maps in those games.
It's that I understand, but
and that's what detracted from my enjoyment of it. And I was just like, I can't with this. And the last time I was in it, I was just like, I got so far, and I was just like, I just can't be bothered with this game anymore.
See
You know,
that I understand, right?
you know.
Is it
So
because the thing is though is it's also it could be I don't know. I haven't played it. I haven't beat it. I don't have. In this argument, I don't. Or sorry, in this conversation, I don't have a leg to stand on. All I have is what you have told me. Does that make sense?
regarding Kazan, you mean?
Regarding Kuzan, yes. All I have
Yes.
to go off is what you have said.
What I've said is what I have said. Yes. And yes. And speaking of Kazan, we'll sort of get back to it. There's only, and I'm going to sound brutal here. Now, you may have a completely different thought process on the game to what I had, right?
Uh-huh.
I'm going to describe the plot of the game in 3 words.
Okay.
In 3 words. Boring, uninspired, and generic.
Ooh.
That is what the story of the game is. And I'm sorry, but it is. It is boring, uninspired, and generic. That's the
See
only way
if I pick this game up and I come up with a different take, I'm gonna grill you.
Oh no, we will. Oh no, we definitely will be. I'm expecting you. Here's the thing. I'm expecting you to have different opinions on this game compared to my own. I'm expecting you to have different opinions on it.
I'll say it's
And
like the way
yeah,
I look at it is, and it's
listen, lad. What fun would it be if we didn't have a good debate?
that's very
What
true because
fun?
no harm.
What
I
fun
can't
would
help
it be?
but argue. Like I'm sorry, right? Because again, I'm not going to get into too many details. But me and Streaks got into a very heated fucking debacle one day. So we did.
Oh, did yes. What was that over?
We got into what was it? He said Hellpoint was shit, right?
Ah, I see.
Look, I'm not gonna deny, right? Is Hellpoint janky? Absolutely.
Absolutely. Like, that is an objective fact.
That
is objective.
But is the game does that jank make the game bad?
Not
No.
necessarily. Now, I can't say much about it because I haven't beat the game, but what I can say is what I've played through it so far, from the enemies to the atmosphere. See, especially the atmosphere. I think it captures atmosphere very, very well.
Very well, right? And then the other one was Code Vein. Now,
yeah. Oh, so he's got into a debate about Code Vein as well.
I got into a debate about Code Vein with him as well.
Okay. And what was his take on Code Vein?
It was shit.
Okay.
Now,
I wouldn't go so far as to say it was shit.
Right? Now, I'm sorry, but now this, again, Streaks, no offense, me and you've already had this argument. I'm just bringing it up for context here. Don't tell me a game's shit if you haven't beaten it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm going.
Did he not beat it?
Huh?
Did he not beat it?
No, he didn't.
Oh, okay.
I'm nearly sure. I'm nearly 100% sure he's probably got less than 10 hours in the game. I
would like to clarify. At no point did I say Neo 2 was shit. This is to clarify for the audience. At no point did I say Neo 2 was shit. I just outlined what I didn't enjoy about it and what detracted from my enjoyment of the game.
But here's the thing, right? But here's what makes you different from Streaks. Streaks just told me the game was shit.
Mm-hmm.
You actually give me comparable reasoning to why you disliked the game.
Yes. And even then, even in the spirit of discussing this, you're actually making me want to go back and give it a third chance. You're actively making me want to go back and give Neo 2 a third chance.
Because again, right? Because I will right. See from today onwards, right? I'm going to make this very clear, right? See from today onwards, and I'm going to make this a rule whenever it comes to me and gaming in general, right?
Yes.
The brand new, right? This is going to be the new. Is it the status that is status the correct word? I don't know. But this
status quo.
This is that's it. This is the new status quo. If somebody tells me a game is shit, I'm going to turn around and say Lords of the Fallen to them.
I was going to say, because here's the thing, and I learned this from my brother, and it took it a while, because I'm a very stubborn person at the best of times, but it took me a while to sort of get it ingrained in my head, but he has a point. Because I remember I was talking to him about stuff I didn't like about God of War Ragnarok, right?
Right.
But then he said, if you haven't played the game and you haven't beaten it, you don't have a leg to stand on.
But yeah, you don't.
And
You.
it took me a while to come round to that realization, but
Was that
I
not the
do
exact same
take-
argument I just made?
No, it is. No, that's why I'm bringing it up. That's why I'm bringing it up. It's because it is the exact same argument that you just made. And do you know what? After much consideration and many debates with him, I have come to the conclusion, and it's the same thing. And I really should have learned it earlier because I played Dragon's Dogma 2 and came to my own conclusion
Yes.
about it. Now, originally my own conclusion, I changed my conclusion of it through conversations with you and through subsequent playthroughs. I then changed my perspective on Dragon's Dogma 2, which led to me enjoying the game more than I had previously done.
Exactly. Because
And yeah,
right? Because I had this argument, right? Because again, main streaks is like me and you. We will debate, argue. As says, we have our difference in opinions. We're human at the end of the day. Of course, we're going to have a difference in goddamn opinion.
of course,
right?
Of course.
But Streaks turned to me one day and he goes, right, which game's better? Right, now he's comparing this to Dark Souls, right?
Okay.
He says, which game, in your opinion, is the most like Dark Souls? Or like, which one would you say has the closest resemblance or the ability to take the title of Dark Souls, if that makes sense? Like, take that title away from Dark Souls, right? And I goes, I'm not going to lie, right? I sat down, now this is funny because this is over the course of 3 days we spoke. I had beaten Lies of P, and then I had downloaded Lords of the Fallen and started playing it, right?
Yes.
But then I started doing research into Lords of the Fallen because I had done my initial playthrough, as everybody does. I done mine blind, no arguments. Played the game, all good. Good ending, yada, 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 right? So I wanted to see what other endings there were. What else am I missing? What have I missed? Because this game's actually pretty damn good. And then it turns out that on release, the game didn't have an awful lot. It was lacking a lot of really core content. It's not even it was lacking core content. It was mostly just slightly lackluster on a whole. So I was just like...
You mean this is Code Vein we're talking about?
No. This is Lords of the Fallen I'm talking about.
Oh, this is Lords of the Fallen, right? Okay.
Right? Because in my opinion, Lies of P is perfection. So it is. Lies of P...
It's a really good game. It's an easy 10 out of 10.
Easy 10 out of 10. Easy 10 out of 10. Right? Compared to Dark Souls, it lacks in certain areas. But I have to make it a point that Lies of P is a purely story-driven game. It is a single-player, story-driven game that is perfection. The combat is refined to perfection. The boss fights are perfection. They put actual love and care and detail into that game.
Yes, they
right?
did.
The game was perfection. Right?
So what was Streaks' argument then? Was his argument which between Code Vein or Lords of the Fallen and Lies of P, which was the most like Dark Souls?
No, Lords of the Fallen and Lies of P. Code Vein wasn't part of the argument at this stage because Code Vein came up in a Hellpoint argument.
Right, okay.
So it did.
So, right.
And then I played through Lords of the Fallen, right? Now, I beat the game completely blind. It's on my YouTube. You can find it, right? And then partway through, they dropped the Fates update, I believe it was. The Fate update is when they added the additional game modifiers.
Okay.
Right? And I was like, oh, okay. So if that was added, as well as I think it was in the same update, the Crucibles were added and the Echoes of Battle were added. So they were. And I was like, oh, okay. Very interesting. Like, the genuine curiosity had taken over. So I was just like, right, if all of this was added, what have I missed? They had added in quest lines. They had literally added in new bosses. They had added in new spells. They had added in a shit ton of new stuff. And then I was like, oh, okay. And then, which was the creme de la creme, right? Because obviously there is PvP within Lords of the Fallen, right?
Yes.
But then they even went back and added in, if you followed certain steps or certain quests, you got access to the boss weapon's special ability. And I was like, that's what the boss weapons were missing, because there was nothing to make the boss weapons unique to themselves. But then they went
Yes.
and retroactively added this, and I was like, holy shit! These guys are actually listening to their damn community. They've actually went and listened to their community, and that is what they have done. Every single time anything happens, they normally ask their community first, what is it you would like to see us add in?
Yes.
And
And
they did that. Now, this is where the fun part starts, right?
okay.
Get them to make a DLC instead of work on Lords of the Fallen 2. Because people are saying, even if you put the DLC, as long as you give us a good DLC, we're willing to spend 50 quid on it. On the other hand, have you seen any, right now, I don't know about you, right? But I have stayed, in all of my glory and wisdom, completely blind to everything Night Rain related, apart from the initial trailer. Now, I know of bits and pieces, we'll say,
Oh,
that exist.
Are we back again? Are we?
Yeah, we're back now, so we are.
Okay. Right.
I know of bits and pieces within the game that exist. Not everything, just bits and pieces.
Yeah, same with me. I don't know everything either.
But what I have heard is interesting.
Okay.
So it is, because apparently, how do I describe this in the most unironic sense? Remember the door that they displayed in the game, the door that was displayed once you beat one of the bosses or something?
Mm-hmm.
There was something very interesting that I noticed. Did it ever occur to you that it looks an awful lot like the Dark Souls 2 killing of the first flame?
No, I haven't. Let's say I have not looked at anything. I've barely looked at anything Night Rain related since the original trailers came out.
But yes, I am patiently waiting now, because there's Night Rain. There was another game that I was meant to bring up now, and I can't remember what the fuck it is. But no, on the other hand, though, you said you didn't get into Oblivion. Trust me, play it. God tier game. I'm in the middle of playing it right now as we're recording. I'm currently stuck.
I also wanted to finish on a positive point of Kazan.
Right, okay, because you in saying that you have quite literally bashed Kazan, so you have. So
I have bashed it, so I at least want to bring up one point that is at least a positive.
Okay.
The combat is good in the context of the boss fights.
Okay.
The combat, that I will admit, the combat was fun, especially for those first few bosses. The combat was fun, but because I wasn't enjoying the game overall due to its other aspects, the loot system, the randomized attributes, for the loot and that kind of stuff, that was basically the same loot system that Neo uses.
Is it the same loot system?
Pretty much, it basically is.
So this is where me and you're probably gonna have an odd differentiating gripe, because I don't actually mind the RNG loot systems.
I don't like them. I prefer how Dark Souls does it, how Elden Ring does it, how the Remnant series does it, where you get your armor, you get your gear, you upgrade it, and that's it.
Interesting.
That's what I prefer.
I understand that. Like, I wholeheartly understand that. That to me is 100%.
And you have your scaling attributes for your weapons and your armor, and all that, and that's what carries you through the game. And another bit, and this is more another tidbit. Another thing I feel, and I could be wrong on this, but the thing I think it lacks in is build variety. I think is another place that Kazan, I think it's another thing that could have been executed a bit better. Because yes, you have your skill trees for different weapons, but there's only 3 weapons in the game that you can get. And that is a dual-wield sword and axe, a great sword, and a spear. Those are the only 3 weapons you can get in the game.
And
So-
yes, as I said, they each have their own skill tree, which you could probably mix and match however you like. But for me, I do still maintain
It
my
lacks.
gripe that it lacks build variety, and that is something I can give Neo over. Over.
Because the thing is like I still believe that you haven't given Neo a fair shake, or Neo 2. I know you enjoyed Neo 1, but I still believe that you haven't given Neo 2 a fair shake.
Fair enough.
So I do, because again, regardless to the game, because I'm not going to speak on it simply due to the fact that I have not put the time aside properly to put time into the game. Right?
Yeah.
There is one game, it is a Souls-like, but it's one game that I have not put time into. So there is. It's one specific game, and it's one specific Soul. Actually, do you want to know something? There's about 3 or 4 different Souls-likes that I haven't actually put time into yet. Now, I'm saying yet because I am backlogged to fucking hell and back. I don't have the time as other people do.
Yeah.
I have a full-time job. I don't have the time that other people do to sit and bang out content with about any game that just so happens to hit their table at any given time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mine is a case of I have to finish things one project at a time. I don't get the courtesy of being able to finish. I don't get the luxury of being able to beat out project after project. So I don't.
Yeah. The struggles of the working man.
Yeah, the joys. But in saying that, there is one game.
Okay.
That game is Mortal Shell.
Ah, interesting.
So it is. That game is
I
Mortal
haven't
Shell.
I don't think I've gotten your thoughts on Mortal Shell yet.
That's the thing, though. I think I might. Shoot me if you want. But I'm nearly sure I have maybe less than 3 hours in that game.
Okay.
Which immediately, that makes it, like, from my point of view, now whether or not you agree, disagree, ifs, ands, and buts, that makes me unable to give you an opinion on the game. Do I think the game is interesting and fun? Yes. Have I played enough of it to learn it? Have I played enough to learn anything? Absolutely not. Is it on my to finish list? Yes. Once I finish my current projects. Because at the minute, I again have to make this very clear, I am backlogged fuck. So I am.
All I'm going to say on this regard is the same argument you and my brother made with me. Play it, then finish it, then you'll get your opinion. The same way you did with me with Neo 2.
Yeah.
Because I will confess, the first time I beat Lords of the Fallen, I didn't enjoy it. But then I went back to it. And then I found myself enjoying it more. When I went back to it.
Hang on. Hold fire. Let me. I think I might need to make a small correction on you. I might need to make a small correction on that, because as far as I remember, you says that you just sort of give up once you fought the Hushed Saint, I believe.
No. Mortal Shell I'm talking about.
Oh, Mortal Shell. Right. Okay.
No, I'm talking about Mortal Shell.
Because it was just whenever you had said it was just.
Oh, no. I did. Oh, no. My initial run of Lords of the Fallen, I give up on Hush Saint. Yes, that I will hold my hand up to. But no, on Mortal Shell, when I beat it for the first time, I think it was a wee bit lackluster. But then I found myself, do you know what? I actually want to go back and revisit that game. And when I went back and revisited it, I actually found myself enjoying it. I don't know what it was that changed.
See that there's a big thing that's what I mean is. It's nearly like, what's the way to describe it? In hindsight.
In hindsight, yeah.
In hindsight, I think is the best way to describe it. In hindsight, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's also a case of, in hindsight, that's how it works, if that makes sense. It's breaking that down. It's getting through that initial brick wall, because the game is so different to what people tend to be used to.
Mm-hmm.
You tend to be very sort of like nearly picky on it, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like you're nearly just like It's like it's like you're too used to playing Dark Souls, so you're just like, I don't know if I can do this because it feels like Dark Souls, but it's not Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Because I would give, if I have to be 100% clear, I would nearly give, from what I've played of it, so again, take everything I say with a grain of salt. From what I've played, I would definitely give Mortal Shell the clunky Souls title. So
it depends on what shell you're using, is all I'll say. It depends on what shell you're using.
See, that's information I didn't have.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So yeah, so I see your point. About when you can only really say something about a game once you beat it.
Yes.
Yeah. So no, I get that now. Yeah. Also, I just wanted to give my take on you and Streaks' debate that we were discussing earlier on between what was it, Lies of P and Lords of the Fallen, which feels like Dark Souls the most.
Yes.
My opinion is neither, because Dark Souls is its own thing. Dark Souls is its own standalone thing. And whenever you get into the thing of, which one feels like Dark Souls more, you're like, it's like comparing oranges and apples at that
right
point.
So this so again,
whereas like when I look at, I'm not looking for something that emulates Dark Souls. I am looking, whenever I play a Souls like, I am looking for something that is standing on its own two legs and is not trying to be like something else. That's what I'm looking for.
So this is where I get to have fun with this. Now, I do apologize because I enjoy these little I enjoy these twists and turns we have, because you're about the only person that has common sense when it comes to arguments like this.
Okay.
Right. So here's the thing, right? Because funnily enough, got into not so much, I wouldn't say so much an argument, but a rather interesting debate with another gamer at one stage. So I did, right? And he said, like, because he was, not gonna lie, he was a Dark Souls fanatic.
Yeah.
And he turned to me and he goes, "Do you think Lies of P should be introduced into the Souls-like Hall of Fame?" Now, I immediately turned around and went, "Excuse me, but what exactly is the Souls-like Hall of Fame?" Basically, now, again, this is entirely community funded, driven, whatever way you want to swing it, right? But basically, it's basically you've got the Souls-like Hall of Fame, which is basically games that have come out that embody the Souls formula that I like to use. Embodies the Souls formula, but not just embodies it, emulates it, but also improves upon it. So it's nearly like a perfect duplicate, but with something that just makes it ever so different, right?
I see.
And I was like, right, so what you're saying is a game like Lies of P. And he goes, exactly. And I was like, right, okay, because there was an argument recently about a year ago, within the Souls community of whether or not Lies of P should be the first game, the first game held to the same standard that we hold the Soul series to.
Okay.
Now, I'm sorry, but me and you and Streaks automatically understand that anything that Hidetaka Miyazaki puts his hands to is going to be gold.
Yeah.
Right?
That man could take amount of shit and turn it into gold bars.
Correct. He basically did do that with fucking From Software.
Basically, yeah.
Right? Now, with that exact statement made, you immediately understand what comes next, right? The fact that now that Lies of P is to be held in the exact same regard as the Soul series.
Right.
Do you agree that Lies of P should be held to the same standard as the Soul series?
No. No, I don't.
Right.
Here's the reason why. Here's the reason why.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. Building on what I said earlier, Lies of P, what I value with Lies of P is the fact that it took a formula that was there. The devs of Lies of P took a formula that was there, but made it their own. They made something fun and something extravagant and something beautiful
Right.
out of something that was there. But here's what I'm saying. I'm also going to say, but without Demon Souls, the Dark Souls trilogy, and even Bloodborne, without those games, Hollow Knight, Blasphemous,
None of those games would exist.
Lords of the Fallen, Hellpoint, Salt and Sanctuary, the list goes on.
Yes.
Lies of P, even Black Myth Wukong,
Yes.
perhaps.
None of them would have existed.
They, maybe not necessarily that they wouldn't have existed, but they either, maybe, who knows, maybe those devs could have come up with the formula at later dates, but at the same time, there would have been a significantly lesser chance. If the formula had not been there, they wouldn't have had anything to build upon.
Correct.
Is the point. And who knows? Those games could have been better or they could have been worse. But the fact remains, what we know for certain is this. Because of the Souls formula that FromSoft laid out from Demon Souls to Dark Souls 3, we got a wealth of games that took that formula and tried to make it their own. Some of those games flopped, let's be honest. Some games flopped, others skyrocketed.
Yep.
Others skyrocketed.
Oh, I 100% agree.
And without Dark Souls, without Dark Souls existing, there was a significantly lesser chance that those games could have been made. And that is why I say, and we have to give all the credit to the Souls series, because the Souls series is the granddaddy of them all.
But there's what I mean. That's where the argument comes in, you see, because people are looking to know, is it justified to put them in the same category? Now, again, do I believe Lies of P by itself belongs in the same category, or sorry, the same echelons, if that makes sense?
Don't know what it's like saying. It's like saying, should Halo be held to the same standard as Call of Duty or vice versa? That's what it's like saying. Should Overwatch be held to the same standard as Team Fortress? Should Apex Legends be held to the same standard as Team Fortress?
See, at that stage, I'm just like,
See, yes, you could argue that those games maybe. No, let's be honest. I'll be honest. I played through the original Halo games not too long ago. I regrettably played through Halo 4. Absolutely hated every minute of it.
I think everybody did.
I fucking hated every minute of that game. But I played through the original Halo trilogy, Halo ODST.
ODST was good.
It was, and Halo Reach as well. I played all five. I enjoyed it. I played all 5 of those games and I loved them. Absolutely adored them. Loved the music. Loved the setting. Loved the soundtrack. Loved all of it. I loved all of it.
Yeah.
But the reason why I say we cannot possibly, like I said before, it's like comparing apples and oranges. We cannot compare and hold games to the same standard as their predecessors. And this is the reason why. Because when you do that, you limit creativity. No, people say limitations breed creativity. And yes, it does breed creativity. But not that kind of limit. When you try to hold something to a standard of another game, you basically get what happened with Halo. Because what did happen with Halo? They tried to make it more like Call of Duty. They were trying to hold it to the same standard as Call of Duty. which impacted on Halo's whole identity as a game series. It impacted it negatively because they tried to be too much like something else. And that is why I encourage any developer out there that wants to make a Souls-like. I encourage them, yes, by all means, use the basic formula, because the basic formula is what makes a Souls-like a Souls-like. But do not, by any means necessary, limit yourself to what Dark Souls accomplished.
So you
Think-
right. So now this is where I get. This is where.
Encourage ingenuity. Encourage new ideas. It's something you think. The core thought process behind any game development should be, and I will say this to the day I die, how can we make this as fun for our player base as possible? How can we make it fun?
See, this is where I get to have fun now. You see, right?
Okay.
Because, as you said, limitations breed creativity.
They do.
Right? Name me 2 games in recent memory that took the Souls formula and went with it.
Mm-hmm.
Name me 2 games.
Can't.
I can.
Can you?
Yep. And they're the 2 games that I genuinely believe, if not right next to Dark Souls, are just below it.
Okay.
Can you guess what they are?
I'm going to guess Lies of P's one.
Lies of P
Mm-hmm.
and Lords of the Fallen.
I see.
So, for the sake of being nice and not being cryptic about it, I will break down why I believe these 2 games, maybe not as you say, maybe not in the exact same echelon, but very damn close to it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Okay.
And that is because both of them took the Souls formula, looked at it, and thought, what can we do to improve it? Or not even improve it, make it more our own.
What can we do to make it our own, to make it new, to make it fresh?
Yes. Now, to be clear, both of them are, to be fair, 2 games that are so similar could not be farther apart in design.
Yes.
Right? Lords of the Fallen and Lies of P are so different in design philosophy alone that it makes them completely different to each other.
Yes. But
So
they
it does.
each have that same energy.
Correct. Now, if we were to really go and really break it down, look, the best way I can describe it is for example, look what Lords of the Fallen did with the use of the magic or the Umbrella lamp, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, don't know about you, but my opinion of the introduction of the Umbrella lamp is pretty fucking smart.
Okay.
In my opinion, the introduction of the Umbrella lamp is pretty damn smart. Right? So,
Yes.
you have the Umbrella lamp to start with.
Mm-hmm.
Then you very quickly follow that up with the way that they designed their magic system, which
Yeah.
I thought was also pretty fucking smart. So
Alright.
it was, right? Then, to be 100% exact, you also have the use of runes. Runes in my opinion was a big one. Now, I personally don't know how you
I didn't
looked-
mind them.
right.
I didn't mind them. I thought they were a nice addition.
I thought they were a nice addition as well, right? But then you also had the way that they incorporated storylines and stuff like that there as well.
Mhm.
They incorporated so much that helped it push farther than the base game ever allowed.
Yeah.
And that there's, like, yes, does it still lack a few small itty bitty features? Yes. There's a few wee things that does, in the most polite sense, irk me in a sense.
Do you want to know what I would like to compare Lords of the Fallen to? It's another little game that came out a few years ago.
Enlighten me.
No Man's Sky. Now, before you kill me, let me explain. when No Man's Sky launched, it was in a pitiable state when it launched.
Without a doubt.
And while Lords of the Fallen was not as pitiable, it was definitely far from perfect. It definitely wasn't the softest launch.
Correct.
Right? And I think we can both agree on that. But both Hexworks and Hello Games, with No Man's Sky and Hexworks with Lords of the Fallen, they both did the same thing. They sat down, reevaluated the situation, and got back to work.
Yes.
If they were scummy game developers, they would have just let it there, take the money, and ran. But they didn't do that. They sat down, they're like, right, where have we gone wrong? They listened to their audience, they listened to the feedback. They didn't do any of the predictable corporate speak of, we apologize, this is not our intended job, our deepest regrets and sympathies. They didn't do any of that. They just sat back down, they got their heads down, and they got back to work. And they took the games that had poor launches and made them into something brilliant. They made them into something fun, into something great.
I agree.
And that is one thing. And I realized I was interrupting. I was jumping in you there. I'll let you continue.
No. Like, and that there's the thing, right? And then you had so back to the point, right? So Lords of the Fallen done its own unique stuff. Now, again, to make it clear, it did take them a bit of time. Because I think my initial ranking that I did give Lords of the Fallen was about a 7. Right? Now, personally speaking, I genuinely thought, that was a fair and honest assessment whenever I had first beaten the game. Right?
Okay.
Now, to contrast that, Lies of P, for me, got a 9.5 off rip. I beat Lies of P and I give it a 9.5 off rip. Right? Now, if I was to go off pure game, pure story, it would be a 10 out of 10. But I like a little bit of PvP in my Souls likes.
Fair enough.
That's entirely personal preference.
Yeah.
I like a little bit of PvP in my Souls likes.
Fair enough.
Now, taking that into consideration, regardless to anything else that is said, I took that, so obviously, that is how I seen it, right? So, 9.5, but on that there, even if I took out the PvP, right? Like, remove there is no PvP in it anyway, so I don't know why I'm saying that. Yeah. But to me, Lies of P is a 10 out of 10, and I'm not the only person that believes this. Everybody else that has played Lies of P believes it's 10 out of 10.
Because and that's just another thing I wanted to compare, again, just sort of bringing in Kazan a little bit here, off stage. That's another thing I didn't get with Kazan was, now you and I can both agree, whenever we played Lies of P, we felt the passion, we felt the ingenuity, we felt the love, we felt the care, we felt they took this game, if you don't mind me getting a little metaphorical, they had this little egg. The little chick hatched from the egg, and they nurtured it into a phoenix.
Oh,
that
absolutely.
is what the devs did with Lies of P. And
without a doubt.
As I hereby say right now, everything about it, the enemies, the level design, the music, the boss fights, the mechanics, the Legion arms, the variety of Legion arms you can get, the variety of weapons you can get, the weapon customizability, which all, as I'm sure you'll agree, builds into the build variety
Absolutely.
of the game.
Absolutely.
Is brilliant. And and even then, I'm still the same thing you, where I even hold it right up there, just inching ever so closely to the top with Dark Souls. But the reason I don't is because, and I come up with this earlier, this is just a good thing, I think. Limit yourself on what you can do now, not by what has come before.
See, I agree to that. I agree to that, right?
And that is what I think makes ingenuitive products. You don't limit yourself by trying to be like somebody else. You limit yourself by giving yourself, right, here's my ideas. Okay, this works, that works. This may or may not work, so we'll try implementing it. No, that doesn't work. Knock that away. And we don't go overboard. We pick a theme of the game. We pick a style of the game. We pick certain mechanics of the game, and we stick to those mechanics.
I'll
and
give
those are
I'll give you a
ironclad.
hypothesis, right?
Yes.
Do you think Lords of the Fallen or Lies of P could have worked with any other formula?
I can't imagine it. I really can't. I really can't imagine it because no, I really can't imagine it because see, Lies of P doesn't just implement Dark Souls mechanics. It implements another mechanic from another game you and I both know and love.
Sekiro. Yes. Which is
it implements that mechanic. And now, while it doesn't have the same thing, so obviously, for anyone who's played Sekiro, the objective was not the health bar in Sekiro. The objective was the posture meter.
Correct.
That was the objective of every boss, was the posture bar. When you broke the posture bar, that's where the significant damage came in.
Correct.
And that was the whole point of the game design of Sekiro. That's why I loved it so much, because it wasn't just that's what I'm saying about taking existing formulas and making something new.
See, that's where I enjoy this. Because FromSoft is about to take the biggest risk.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
FromSoft is because the last right, let's be clear here, right? The last major game that they released.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that's a lie. They've released 2 major games.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion.
They have.
That being Armored Core
Mm-hmm.
and Elden Ring.
Yep.
Now, let me be clear. How the fuck they got the Souls formula to work in fucking Armored Core? I don't fucking know.
Did they even get the Souls formula to work in Armored Core?
They did.
Because it's a mission by mission basis.
It's a mission by mission basis, correct? But see the gameplay.
Oh right.
Feels very Dark Souls.
Oh yeah, because you can deflect shots, but you can parry shots back at the enemies, can't you? With the shields.
With certain shields and stuff. But it's not just that there, it's also the lock-on mechanic stuff like that there. Like,
yes.
You have to remember in previous Armored Cores there was no lock-on mechanic.
There was no hard lock, which makes me even more curious to go back and play previous Armored Core titles to see how it hold up.
Not doing that. I am absolutely. Do you know what you do? Go watch Valley's Video's video on it.
Why?
Because he covered them all. You'll not get access to some of the. See, I think the first Armored Core is it's like £800.
Oh.
The first ever Armored Core, I think, is like £800.
Oh.
So it is like and then on top of that, there you're going to go buy a PS1 to play it. The game, because of it's whatever way the game is. The game's that old that it can't be emulated. So it is.
No, well, maybe not the very first Armored Core, but you know.
Like I say, go as far back as Armored Core 4, and you'll go back as far as Armored Core 4 for answer, and tell me how many times White Glint kicked your ass up and
I'm sure there'll be many times White Glint kicks my ass.
There's 3 that you have to watch out for is Cubics. He's a prick because he's all speed, no defense. Shooting the cunt's the problem.
I see.
Then you got White Glint, who is a nice balance of both speed and power.
But he hits like a truck.
And hits like a truck. And then you've got Obstarva. Don't fuck with Obstarva. That's a bad idea. Obstarva is a fucking nightmare. But anyway. Right? And the reason why I'm saying that, back to the point why I'm saying is From Software is about to take the biggest fucking risk ever, is with Night Rain. Now, why do I say that that Night Rain is going to be their biggest risk? Is because, first off, the Elden Ring title is slapped on front of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
The second thing is, this is something completely out of their wheelhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the one thing I do have to say, though, that is very intriguing is because... Sorry, hang on, I'm going to burp because I'm drinking Dr. Pepper. Excuse me. But here's the thing, though, right? Because a lot of people agree with me on this. And Lords of the Fallen proved it.
Mm-hmm.
The Souls formula, the way that Souls games work, lends themselves very well to either a roguelike or a randomizer setup.
Yep.
Because, again, and Lords of the Fallen proved this. You can do enemy randomizer. In Lords of the Fallen, once you beat the game, you get access to the enhanced modifiers. The enhanced modifiers works so well, it is actually so good, right? Because you can randomize the enemies and you can randomize the loot.
Yep.
With a Souls formula. That's why modders created randomizers.
Yes.
Because it lent itself so well.
Yes.
A roguelike...
And in Lords of the Fallen's case, you didn't need the mods for it because the devs did it themselves.
Exactly. And what makes it even better, in my opinion, what makes it even better is the fact that inherently, because this is From Software's first go at it, but they must, like, realistically, let's be clear, From Software watches what people are doing with their games.
Yeah.
They have to be, right?
They have to be. Yeah.
Because they are taking everything that they have put into every other one of their games and mashing it all together.
Mm-hmm.
So they are. They are taking everything that they have learned, because if you go back through the trailers that they have released, you've got a guy with a Sekiro playstyle. You've got people that use Tenchu mechanics. You have people that are using Armored Core mechanics. You've got people using Dark Souls mechanics, Dark Souls 2 mechanics, Dark Souls 3 mechanics, I think I said Sekiro mechanics, Demon Souls mechanics. There is so much going on in Night Rain. I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah.
But then, on top of that, what makes it even better is I can't wait to see what the lore implications are.
Yeah. Again, I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna say this because whenever the first trailer come out, I read perhaps one of the best YouTube comments I've ever seen in my life.
Which
and
was?
This is it. Quick, Sekiro, we need you to distract Queen Marika while the hunters search for the Dark Soul.
That is fucking goated, actually. That is actually a goated statement, man.
It's basically, we're entering now into the bloody, if what they do with Night Rain is what I think they're doing with Night Rain, we're going to be entering into, no, do you want to know what this will do? Let me actually get this out there. Do you want to know if what they're going to do with Night Rain is what I think they're going to do with Night Rain? They will have single-handedly proven that all of the games are spread across the multiverse.
Correct. It's going to be
they will have proven. Now that's if they take it the direction we're assuming they're taking.
Well, we'll find out. We'll find out in about 2
All
weeks.
I know is we're seeing. I saw Solier's armor, the Nameless King, the Centipede Demon, Duke's Dear Freya, you name it.
Yeah,
I saw it.
I can't wait to see. But anyway, that will end this. That'll end this podcast so well, because
yes, I think that's a good way to.
I think that there's a good spot to end on. As says, hopefully in the future there will be more being done on my end, because as says, I'm technically still on my break from YouTube, but at the same time though, I do plan on getting back to it. As says, it's just because with time being limited and things that need to be done, no, life's life, and I have to make room for other things other than YouTube. It's as simple as that. But yes, this video will go up after I make my return video, which will be some stage in the next 2 weeks. Because I need, if I'm coming back, I need to come back with a bang.
Yeah.
So Spud,
anyway,
thank you very much, and hopefully we can get talking again once Night Rain is out. Because, or even better, if you're about, fuck it. If you're about, fuck it. We'll just do a fucking night rain run.
Well, join you on a cheeky stream. And
Sure,
do a
it's up
night
to
rain
it's
run.
it's 2 to 3 player. Fuck it. Grab me, you, and
Yeah,
Streaks all into one Discord chat and just sit and talk shit while we're fucking playing
No.
night rain. Why the fuck not?
Why the fuck not? The boys back at it.
Exactly. Right. Anyway, we'll leave it
Anyway.
there.
Hope you all enjoyed listening.
We did go off on quite a tangent, so we did.
did
But
go
it
off
is,
quite a
it is having these tangents is good though. So
But then again, what else can we say? Welcome to the Nut House.
Aye, that's very true. So, thank you all for everybody that did watch this video. Thank you very much for getting to the end of it. And Spud, I shall see you in the next one. So I
I'll
will.
see you in the next one. Everyone take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.